Okay. We need to get this started, all right? Because some of us have jobs to get to in the morning. It is currently 12:40 a.m. WrestleMania 32 just wrapped up a little bit ago. Yes, a little bit ago. The show ran extremely long, and we're going to go over exactly why here as we go over the results of each match. We're going to skip the pre-show because really most of us should have skipped the pre-show because it just wasn't that great. But here's what my first thought about WrestleMania 32, which was live from Arlington, Texas. Stop saying it's in Dallas. It was not in Dallas. The new stadium is in Arlington. Dallas is like 30 minutes away. It's an entirely different city. But nobody knows Arlington, so they just say Dallas because whatever. Who cares, right? If you're not from there, nobody really it doesn't matter. So the show wrapped up. Record attendance, over 100,000 people there to watch WrestleMania 32. And what was it like? It was like a plain cheese pizza. I love pizza, but is that it? Is this all I'm getting? All right, fine. And then if you offer me another slice, I'll say, nah, I'm good. Just one is fine. That's how I felt about this WrestleMania. Look, a lot of us, we love wrestling and we love these things, but just sometimes it's a miss. Even WrestleMania is sometimes a miss. I mean, this is supposed to be the biggest show of the year, and it didn't live up to the hype. Now, that's not to say that the wrestlers, the athletes, these entertainers, they didn't live up to their end because they're doing the best they can with what they've got. But when you've got awful storylines and awful booking that you're trying to fight through, then it just is what it is. And for some people, the match itself is more important than the end. But to me, it's the opposite. The ending of a match is the most important thing. And there were some questionable ends tonight. So that being said, let's go over. The very first match that we had was the Intercontinental title match. This was a ladder match for the IC belt. Great things usually happen when ladders meet WrestleMania. So you had a lot of talented guys in there. You had Dolph Ziggler. You had The Miz, who actually, people may hate him, but he is really talented in as far as ladder matches go. You had Kevin Owens as the champion, and so you had Sami Zayn, so you did have this mix of NXT guys, and everyone kind of thought that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were going to really go at it first thing, and they essentially did. So you had a lot of good spots, a lot of good bumps. Kalisto took some good falls. Even Stardust took some really good falls and hits from the ladder and stuff like that. But ultimately, the surprise, the winner of this match was Zack Ryder, if you can believe it. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah, that guy. The guy, everybody who was kind of a last-minute entrant, everyone just thought, okay, well, he's just in there because they needed another person. Nope. He ends up winning the whole thing. So does this mean they're going to give him some kind of push, or do they just want to throw everybody off of the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn trail, and that way these two guys can focus on having a match without a belt being in the middle of it? But either way, congrats to Zack Ryder. The guy works super, super hard, and he always gets buried under nothing. So he's got a belt to his name now, and he's got a win at WrestleMania. So that's pretty cool for him. Next matchup, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. Okay, swing and a miss. That's what this match was. Love Chris Jericho. Love the guy. He's an absolute stellar worker. He's a stellar performer. He's great at putting guys over. He had done that. AJ Styles was incredibly over with the WWE Universe. I believe Vince McMahon is convinced that only a few smattering of people knew who AJ Styles was when he got called up to the WWE. And therefore, he needs to keep putting him in matches against more seasoned people like Jericho in order for the fans to accept him. This is wrong. We know who AJ Styles is. We know he's talented. We know he can work. We know he's good at what he does. So they have a great match. They've had great matches in the past. This should have been the end to their feud. And if it is, what a disappointing end because Jericho gets the win. Why? A win here does nothing for Jericho. AJ Styles just lost at his premier WrestleMania, his first major event in the WWE, and he loses. So does this mean these guys are going to keep feuding? If so, I don't want to see them fight anymore. This feud should have been over. And if the feud's over, then you just buried AJ Styles. In his very first run in the WWE, you've set him up for failure. I don't understand that booking. And that's what I mean when I say these guys worked really, really hard, but the results didn't live up to what they should have anyway. This should have been AJ Styles' springboard to bigger and better things. Instead, he's going to start this new era tomorrow night on Raw with a loss. So, let's see. Third, we had the Tag Team Championship. The New Day, amazing. They came out with this huge box of Booty-O's cereal, which was great. That got tipped over and all these big O's came out. They came out dressed like Dragon Ball Z characters, and that was great. They did their typical Mike thing. The whole crowd loves them. They can't do anything wrong. Now, I hated myself for doing this, but I had predicted that they were going to lose this match, mostly because it was a non-title match, so they had nothing to lose, and everything's been going so right for them lately. It's about time for them to lose to the League of Nations, and they did. They had a great performance in the ring, and then League of Nations comes up with a victory. But that's not why this match is going to be memorable. It's for what happens right after the match. The League of Nations, they get on the mic, and what they start saying is Wade Barrett says, hey, we're the greatest trio of people who've ever wrestled, then we're the best, and blah, 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 blah. Shawn Michaels' music hits. Now, WrestleMania is full of surprises. There's always guest stars who show up. So, the Heartbreak Kid shows up. That's awesome. Then, Mick Foley's music hits. Oh, okay. Comes another legend. He comes out. All right. Now everyone's thinking there's got to be at least one more, and it's probably going to be a big one. And sure enough, glass shatters. It's Stone Cold. These three guys make their way into the ring. There's the inevitable trash talking, and then the squash happens. And the League of Nations gets completely dominated by the three legends, and everyone loves seeing stunners left and right and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a lot of fun. And then even the New Day was on the receiving end of some of the stunners, even though much to the crowd's amusement. I mean, when Stone Cold does something, he can do no wrong. He can give a stunner to anybody in the world, and nobody would complain. So there's really no complaints about the match itself, no complaints about the outcome, because the title didn't change hands, so it doesn't mean anything. All right, number 4 was the no-holds-barred street fight between Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. I actually thought Ambrose was going to come away with the victory here, simply because on its face, it seemed like there was no way for him to win. So I thought, okay, what a perfect David and Goliath-style scenario. And it's a street fight. It's no-holds-barred. This plays right into the kind of match that Dean Ambrose likes to have. He can use weapons of any kind. He can use all these dirty tricks, low blows. He can do anything he needs to do to get one over on the Beast Incarnate. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough. 13 suplexes is what I counted. So Dean Ambrose was on the receiving end of quite a lot of pain. And then at the end, he received an F5 onto a pile of chairs that he had decided was a good idea to throw into the ring. So unfortunately, it didn't work out in his favor. And he loses the match. And who knows where the feud's going to go from here. Another questionable feud that seemed kind of thrown together at the last minute. I mean, this should have been the Wyatts facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I understand Bray Wyatt was unfortunately suffered an injury, and those are the things that WWE can't control, so they have to redo stories and stuff like that. But it was still a puzzling decision, so who knows if they're going to do anything with them moving forward. Next was the Divas Championship. We had Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. Earlier in the evening, Lita, who still looks incredible, Lita introduced us to the new Women's Championship belt, which is going to replace the Butterfly Divas belt, which looked like something you would buy at Toys R Us. Now they actually have a belt that shows them some legitimacy. It looks exactly like the World Heavyweight Championship, except it's a white strap with a red background. It looks great. It's a belt that is equal to the men's belt, showing them that, hey, you're not divas, you're women. We respect that. They're giving them a new title and trying to rebrand the women's division. No longer is it going to be the Divas division. So good on them for that. However, bad on them for how this match ended. What I don't understand is there's a continual disrespect for people having common sense. Ric Flair comes out there. Ric Flair is probably going to be involved in the match somehow. So if you're a woman and you're fighting in this match, you would probably keep that in mind. They didn't keep that in mind because, of course, toward the end, Sasha Banks goes in to try to break up the pinfall because Charlotte has Becky in a submission hold. And then, of course, Ric Flair grabs her leg and prevents her from going in. She taps. Charlotte retains. Okay, sure. I guess Charlotte... Okay, so basically, as long as Ric Flair is out there, by WWE logic, Charlotte will never lose. Okay, I guess that's what's going to happen. What are you going to do? Next, we brought the Shane McMahon and The Undertaker Hell in the Cell match. This was a match that a lot of people were looking forward to. How is this going to end? Is this going to go clean? Is someone going to interfere? What's going to happen? And yeah, there were some amazing bumps. Shane, to his credit, took a lot of big hits. The biggest hit of all was putting Undertaker on the table, climbing to the top of the cell, and just like Mick Foley did, he leapt off of the cell. Fortunately, Undertaker moved off of the table, so Shane just crashed through the table with his kids in attendance watching, no less. So that was that was an amazing fall that he took. Undertaker brings him into the Hell in the Cell. Tombstone pile drives him, covers him, and he wins. Again, another puzzling decision. Why? So what was this whole thing 2 months ago when Shane came back? He trained for this match and then he loses. Okay, it's one thing if you're a main event wrestler. You have a match with somebody, you lose. Hey, you could always have a rematch. Maybe you'll meet again down the line. This is Shane McMahon. He took a break from his normal job to come and do this, and he lost. He has nothing to show for it. So the WWE remains firmly in Vince's control, and nothing is going to change. And that's kind of unfortunate, is we don't have anything to look forward to as we move forward, because the status quo is now the same. And we were all kind of hoping for something new. We were hoping for the Authority to get out of power, but 3 years running, and they're still going to be here. So what are you going to do? Anyway, seventh was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Kind of another snooze fest. I mean, the winner hasn't mattered in the last 2 years, so why is it going to matter this year? And the comically large trophy ends up being destroyed 50% of the time anyway. What was surprising to a lot of people is you had guys like DDP came in there. Tatanka was in there to absolutely no fanfare. I'm like, it's Tatanka. He's a legend. And then Shaq. Yeah, the basketball player. For some reason, he was in this match. Okay, sure. So they go back and forth. They have I guess, kind of a really sloppy battle royal, and the winner is Baron Corbin, of all people, from NXT. I actually thought it was going to be Braun Strowman, but it turns out that none of the Wyatt family members were even in there. I thought he was going to be part of it. So this was just a match of, hey, look, all these people are still on the roster. They still work for WWE. Remember this guy? Remember this guy? It was just a gigantic mess from start to finish. So unfortunately, it's not going to be the push Baron Corbin needs, but maybe this means he'll be a main roster guy. We'll see him on Raw and SmackDown a lot more often. That brings us to the final match of the evening, the World Heavyweight Championship, Triple H versus Roman Reigns. Now, was there anyone on the face of this earth, and that includes as yet undiscovered tribes in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, who did not know that Roman Reigns was going to win this match? Anyone? Because trust me, everyone knew. So we'll get that out of the way. But first of all, Stephanie looked amazing. She had a great introduction talking about the King of Kings and how we're all slaves and we bow to her. She's wearing this great Mad Max meets Sasha Fierce kind of outfit, and that was kind of cool. Going into this match, the last 3 WrestleManias have ended with a new champion, but the champ has retained at the last 7 out of 12. So even though recent history was on Roman Reigns' side, long-term history was on Triple H's side, blah, 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 throw out all the numbers, no one cared, it didn't matter. Everyone knew Reigns was going to win. But man, those boos were loud. I mean, the guy can just do no right. Even when he speared Stephanie McMahon towards the end of this match, it got a little bit of a cheer, and then as soon as he attacked Triple H, he gets booed again. It's got to be frustrating. Still, we've said this over and over again. I just don't know how they're going to succeed moving forward. Okay, the Authority is still in power, but Roman Reigns is your new World Heavyweight Champion. But so what? I mean, the World Heavyweight Champion doesn't have any sway. He doesn't have anybody fighting in his corner. The Authority runs everything. So how are they going to balance this out? You know, what's going to happen? That'll be the thing I want to see on Monday Night Raw. The Raw after WrestleMania is always one of the most interesting because it's supposed to set up all these new storylines going forward. All the ones that have ended at WrestleMania, and now we move them on going forward in the rest of the year. So how is that going to play out? Are they going to try something new, or are we going to get the same boring storyline we got the first time Roman Reigns won the championship, and then he got screwed over by the Authority? Who knows? I guess we'll find out. Thanks, as always, for watching. This has been your WrestleMania 32 wrap-up. Follow me on Twitter, at Chief Joshiola. You can also follow all my articles at dailyddt.com. As always, thank you to TYT Sports. Thank you all. I'm going to go get some sleep. We'll talk to you soon. See you in the comments. I'll be there. I promise I'll be in the comments.